All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lie of Female Success and How It's Keeping You Stuck, Unfulfilled, and Drained training, where we redefine femininity, work, and play with me, aka Anna Rova. So we have a lot to cover today, and I think we shall begin. But before that, let me give you a couple of tips how you can make the most out of this training. First of all, I encourage you to be very open-minded because I'm going to throw some concepts in here in this training that might challenge you, that you might find yourself resisting. And I just encourage you to be open-minded and consume the information because you are here for a reason. And I believe that everything I'm going to share with you will really help you redefine certain concepts around femininity, female success, work and play and relationships, so that finally you can understand certain things and can turn your life around that's keeping you stuck, unfulfilled and drained. I know you're here because there's something in your life that's keeping you from where you want to be, and you're feeling perhaps confused, overwhelmed, stuck, unsure, or there's something there that you're like, I'm not sure what is it. So, and I know that you've signed up for this training and you're here today to really find out what is it. The next thing is that my goal for this training is for you to understand certain concepts and actually apply it into your own life so that it's practical. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go. I'm excited. So what you will learn today is something that I have developed and discovered and truly embraced in my life and throughout my journey, I guess in the last 5 years, based on my own experience as a woman. And I'll tell you a bit more about that in a second. This is also coming from more than 80 women I interviewed on my podcast, more than 45 men I interviewed on my other podcast, and thousands, I guess, of conversations that I had with women and books and trainings I have gone. So this is not some theory I came up with or whatever one day or copied from somewhere. This is truly my experience and the women I've been coaching and teaching and so on and so on. And throughout this training, I'll also share with you some stories from women that have worked with me that have truly transformed their lives. So it's not just me. I really want to show you that this works for other women as well, if these women are ready. So what you learn today in this training, first up, the modern female epidemic that's keeping women confined, unhappy, and fulfilled. This might challenge you in certain ways. As I said, just keep your mind open. Where the journey to success and the version of your success actually begins or began, and how did we all get here, pretty much. Third thing is the essential forgotten element to any woman's successful life. And when I've discovered this, everything really transformed, and I'm applying it into my every single day life. Fourth, the secret to attracting, sustaining, and magnifying the relationship that you want. I think we all want to be in the relationship that is electrifying, that is radiant and joyful, and a lot of us are struggling. Number 5, the true definition and power of femininity and masculinity. A lot of women today are confused, unsure, unaware. And again, this is all based on my own experience, my own research, and my work with women around the world and interviewing them over and over again. And last but not least is the number one reason for feeling numb and stuck in your head and sensually asleep, which most of us are. So, shall we begin? But first of all, my name is Anna Rova, for those of you who don't know, and I am on a mission to redefine female success. I'm the host and founder of the Girl Skill podcast, where I interview women about female success and femininity and tell their stories, and they range from women from all walks of life, from all over the world. And I highly encourage you to listen to the episode, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't yet. I'm coaching women and guiding women, mentoring women into rediscovering, embracing their femininity and female success and different areas of your life. And how can you really live a life where you don't have to struggle anymore and it's easy? But that requires a complete paradigm shift. I've also had another podcast before where I interviewed men about women in relationships. I've also interviewed John Gray. If you know, he's written 17 books on relationships, including Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And So in the last couple of years, it was just a crazy experience, but this is my mission, and this is my pretty much obsession, really. And I just sleep and breathe with this concept, and I can't wait to share with you what I found out. So in this training, actually, what I'm going to share with you next is how I personally went from being numb, disconnected, anxious, constantly in a hurry, and trying to do it all. So if you find yourself in these words, this training is for you. And not only this comes from my own experience, but as I said, from many women I've worked with, talked, interviewed, the books I read, and so on and so on. So how I went from feeling all these things, disconnection, anxiousness, constantly in a hurry, and trying to do it all, to actually being deeply connected to myself as a woman, understanding what true femininity is, embracing my own feminine cycle, being more relaxed and joyful. How I went to traveling the world, rediscovering my own version of success, and who the hell am I behind all these layers, doing the work that inspires and ignites me every day. Next, how I came to understand men, especially today. And I find like this, if you can get away with one thing, I think this would be it pretty much. If you're struggling actually with relationships, understanding men for women is such a dark, unknown, and confusing territory. And hopefully this training will put things into place, as I've seen it has done in my life and also in the lives of the women I work with. I also created an amazing relationship with my husband, who I met actually on the road. And ultimately, we are creating a family. So I'm currently 4 months pregnant. Which is very exciting. And, if you want to follow my journey, check out Facebook and everything. But I believe what I'm going to share with you today regarding men and polarity and all of that is a true pathway to attracting the relationship I always desired and ultimately creating a family. Next up, how I reconnected to my body, cultivating a sense of awareness and pleasure and feeling more without apologizing for it. I was one of those women who was constantly thinking that, oh my God, I'm too much, I'm feeling a lot, and this is too much for men can't handle it, or I became bitter and angry, take me as I am, and blah blah whatever. Reconnection with my body has been one of the biggest transformations for me personally. I'm coaching now in feminine embodiment coaching, and embodiment in general, which I'm going to talk to you in a bit, is a super powerful subject. And so, because we're all stuck in our heads pretty much. I have come to make decisions from my heart, starting to do less, and feeling alive and radiant, despite doing less, and making decisions from my heart, not from my head. And finally, I've realized that femininity is great power. And I see that in the world today, the concepts of what it is to be feminine and femininity are quite confusing. And a lot of us women, a lot of women look at femininity as weakness. So my mission is to change that and to show you why today. All right, let's begin. So I want to start with a challenge for you and a controversial, perhaps something that will be like, what the hell is she talking about? And this is a quote from Marilyn Monroe. And as you know, Marilyn Monroe was the symbol of femininity, pretty much, and womanhood a couple of decades ago. And the quote goes like this: "Women who seek to be equal with men lack ambition." So this quote can be misunderstood in 100 different ways. But I always use it because when you read it, it makes you think. Wait, what do you mean? And I find this quote really encompasses the whole philosophy and everything that I'm going to share with you today. And you'll understand why in a second, but I wanted to start with this to kind of challenge you and be like, so if you're thinking, what the hell is she talking about? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Wait for it. So let's talk about the first thing, the epidemic, the modern female epidemic that's keeping women confined, unhappy, and fulfilled. So what is happening today is that with everything that's going on in the world, as you know, this is such a hard, I guess not hard, but very we live in complicated times. We live in a very exciting time for women that, I tend to look always on the positive side. I'm a very big individualist. I'm a big fan of Ayn Rand. And I've transformed my life where I took full responsibility for my life and who I am as a woman. Stop blaming everyone, being a victim. And so for me, I look today at where women are, and I'm like, holy shit, you know, women have never had so much opportunity and possibility today. Now, there are other women out there who would say that, oh my God, you know, women are confined and the pay gap and everything. I don't want to go into that much. But I don't look at it that way. And for me, life is full of possibilities and opportunities. As you know, thoughts create your reality, and I fully believe in it. I fully believe in the law of attraction. And applying this philosophy into my life has changed my whole life. And so I hope that today, everything I'm going to share with you is going to help you, you know, take it one step further. I'm not saying this training will transform your life, but it will take you one step further if you fully embrace this. So what's happening today within the epidemic, everything that's going on today with all the movements and pushing and struggling and everything, is that women have created for themselves pretty much too much pressure and responsibilities. We're trying to prove everything to everyone, and this goes deeper than that, deeper than the surface, and I explain why. We have this idea of a strong woman. Women empower woman, a strong, empowered woman. And we need to be strong, and we feel like we need to be so strong, pretty much the masculine strength I'm going to talk about in a second, which is keeping us pretty much drained and stuck, because the feminine is flow, and I'll explain this in a second. We need to succeed in all roles, yeah? So a woman today is not only, you know, like in the past, was supposed to kind of take care of the family and the energy in the family and be nurturing in the house and everything and all of that, but also, you know, be the CEO, be the leader at work, be a mother, be a wife, be a friend, be be a supportive member of the community. So we have to do it all, and we feel like we have to do it all, and it's freaking exhausting to constantly compete, not only with ourselves and with other women, but also with men. And there's enormous pressure. We think, act, feel like men. And this is one of the biggest problems that I see in women, that they don't understand the difference, and we feel like we're all the same and this is the way to go, and so on and so on. A lot of women constantly compete with men, which is not necessary. We're different, we have our own powers, and if we use these powers wisely, which I'm going to teach you today, everything will change and will create balance and union and truly a better world where everybody leverages their strengths. We keep up with false premises of female empowerment, something that I mentioned before, and I'll explain that to you in this training. Female empowerment has become predominantly a masculine movement, which just doesn't work for women. And I know that if you are here today, you probably have tried many different things. You have followed the slogans and the way, perhaps you've marched, perhaps you're following all these Instagram accounts and Facebook and everything, but deep down inside, although you feel like you are, say, powerful and strong, something's not clicking, and that is because that is not your true nature. We have to keep up with all the physical appearances, so besides everything else that is going on, we have to keep our body in shape, and look great and everything. So there's enormous pressure from all different directions, and it almost feels like you're being pulled in 100 different ways, and you're trying to be all perfect. The biological, emotional, and energetic differences between men and women are disregarded, and especially today, where it's very popular and politically correct to say that there's absolutely no difference and we're all the same, and let's just, create a world where there's no difference. And for me, this is a fundamental flaw in a mentality that just doesn't work. One of the things being biological differences, that where women go through cycles every month, and it breaks my heart because women are so stuck in their head. A lot of us, honestly, most of us don't have a relationship with their womb, with their yoni, with their vagina, completely disconnected from their bodies, don't understand their cycles, honestly wish that they would go away, because their own cycles, their own menstrual cycles every month are actually an obstacle to what they want to achieve in terms of goals, right? And of course, we have distorted notions of masculinity and femininity. I've talked to a lot of women, been on a lot of podcasts where really people are confused. Yeah, so they confuse certain personal character traits to femininity or masculinity, but it's much deeper than that. And so the result of all of these things that we find ourselves today, this is like the modern, that's why I call it the epidemic, because the consequences are that we women are constantly overthinking, overworking, and overdoing. We are, as I mentioned before, disconnected from our bodies, pelvic floor, and our cycles, which is a huge problem, because we don't know how to work with our bodies and use the power that we have. That leads to, in my opinion, I mean, this is not scientifically proven or whatever, but in my opinion, it leads to infertility issues, chronic stress, depression, feminine diseases. I can share with you that my pregnancy and my relationship and creating a family and everything is a direct result of me working on my femininity and my cycle, where I got to a state where I really embraced my cycle and understood who I am as a woman. And up until, I think personally, up until you do that as a woman, you're not going to have a deep relationship with yourself, and therefore you're not going to have a deep relationship with your man or with the world, with the other children, everything. It all starts with you. We have emotional eating disorders, different food intolerances, and so on and so on. We're hustling, then we're burning out, and then we're hustling again, burning out. It's a freaking vicious cycle. It never stops. This whole hustling mentality that's going on today is a tremendous pressure on women, because we are not like trains. We can't work in the same way that men work, and I'll explain to you in a second. We think we do, but we can't, because it's taking a toll on us and our bodies, our minds, and our souls. Relationships are going to hell. Because of the distortions of what femininity is, what masculinity is, how this all works. We have this idea of a 50-50. The sad thing is that men also don't know what the hell is going on and what to do with us. They're like, if I do this, she's going to be really upset. But if I do this, she's going to be also really upset. So it's a very hard time for men as well. And so it's very important that we women take a stand and understand this. And if you want to create a powerful relationship, and you know what? I'm tired of playing it small and playing this like equal game and 50-50. If you're a woman who wants a strong man that she can trust, rely on, who wants a protector, and who is freaking aroused by a man who can hold space for you, where you can relax in his arms, then this training is for you. I'm tired of women saying there are no good men around, they're all pussies and everything. That is not the case. I was there. I was one of these women. And everything changed for me when I shifted my paradigm. Today, I live in a world where I'm surrounded by strong men who I can rely to, who I can ask for help, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I know my power. And my power doesn't come from somebody giving it to me. And as Namaste Moore, I think, the woman that I watched a recent video of, said, no legislation can give you power. Power is inherent inside. It's an inside job. And so the relationship aspect it just breaks my heart, whatever is going on. I see women, treating their men like children, with disrespect, with basically no appreciation for masculinity. And that's a huge deal. Our lives are quote unquote perfect, but we feel like we're missing something. So we've achieved everything we wanted. We got the success that we wanted, and I was there. But deep down, I felt empty. I had more money that I could spend. I was living a life that I wanted, but deep down, I was like, something is missing. I don't know what is it. So if you're feeling like this, you're in the right place. As I said, no depth and no richness. There's a lot of bitterness, anger, and frustration. And a lot of women don't know how to deal with this. And also the result is that there's emotional drain, suppression, and a lot of frozen tension. So this is why, if you are finding yourself having any of the symptoms, you're in the right place. So a lot to cover today. Let's move forward. So again, I'm going to challenge you with something that it's a really interesting concept. So let's talk about a metaphor here. And I call this metaphor the workhorse versus the wild horse. And I'm not, just to say right off the bat, I'm not comparing women with horses, okay? If you don't feel comfortable with the metaphor, you can use any animal that has been domesticated, overworked, overabused, and all of that, compared to an animal in the wild. But I'm going to use the horse metaphor simply because. So I speak a couple of languages. One of them is Russian, because I come from Eastern Europe. And in Russia, there is a saying, the workhorse, which relates actually to a woman who's working 24/7, trying to prove everything to everyone, compete with men, and just angry, bitter, and stuck. And so what happened with me one day, when I stepped into this journey of femininity, rediscovering myself, when I attracted the relationship I wanted, and I was working so hard, just pushing, constantly pushing. One day I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I was not born. I was not created. I was not put on this world to work like a horse. And for me, I guess, and this is all comes from my stereotypes in my childhood, working like a horse is like using all your power, thinking power, muscle power, energetic power, everything you have, working towards something and not understanding why, or thinking that you know why, but it doesn't come from deep inside, if you know what I mean. So it's a vicious cycle. And when I understood that, and for me it was like, wow, I was not born to work like a horse. Everything changed. I was born to be wild and free. And this is my power. And as soon as I stepped into that, everything changed, because I eased into my femininity and into what it really means to be a woman. And so I hope this metaphor applies to you, and I hope I showed you a little bit of the differences. And the difference is that the horse on the ride, the wild horse, or the wild thing, the wilderness in women has been forgotten. One of the books that I highly recommend you to read is Women Who Run with the Wolves. This is the Bible into the feminine soul. And this element has been completely forgotten, because there is magic that surrounds a woman's soul and what she can create. The fact that a woman can create life, we somehow have forgotten. I'm pregnant right now, and it's amazing to me what is happening to my body, the energy, the power, the miracle of this. And I feel like this is so disregarded, and I don't understand why, because this is so important. We live in a society that has complete disregard for women who freaking give birth, and the things that our bodies are supposed to do naturally and what they're doing every month. Anyways, let's move on. So the first thing is, so now that we explained the problem, what is going on, how are you feeling, you're finding yourself in this, let's begin this journey to understanding and uncovering what's happening. So the first step is actually I call it, so that where the journey of success begins, it begins with your inner girl story. And the inner girl story starts with remembering that once you were a little girl, remembering how you used to play, and knowing that she's still there inside of you, waiting for you to go and get her. Most of us actually have been raised by parents who did not know how to bring us all up in a proper way. My parents, no matter where you come from, actually, I found out that our parents lived in a very troubled time, and there's no one to blame for it, but we were not. And even today, to this day, parenting is a huge deal, and we were not raised properly as little girls, right? We were told what to do. We were told what not to do. We were not encouraged to pursue certain interests. Not everyone, but a lot of us as women were, and we were pushed and pushed and pushed to pursue certain idea of success that our parents thought it would be great, but we never had the time to, and we were never encouraged to actually discover who we are deep down inside. And so what happened is that we forgot her. And we went on this trajectory of career success, of business success. And because we haven't gotten the time to really, we haven't given her the time. You know, we all are born with certain gifts and miracles inside of us and things that we were truly supposed to be doing, but we forgot. And so my journey today, you know, with the podcast and the fact that I'm speaking with you is because I've done this journey. And it's incredible when I look back at myself as a little girl, and a lot of us are grown up women, but deep down inside there's an inner child that hasn't been nurtured, that hasn't been hurt. A lot of us have been hurt. I myself, I lost my mother when I was 8 years old. Well, you know, almost like this girl in this picture. And everything changed from then on. And anyways, I have a terrible story, you know, stepmother and everything. And I won't go into that. But the point is that we need to do inner child work, inner girl work, to understand who we really are, to understand what we've lost, to understand what is there to be discovered. And there's great lessons in it. And so the inner girl journey also begins with some family dynamics and what happened in our family. And if you're familiar, if you've been, you know, a fan of personal growth, and I'm sure you were because you're here, you'll understand that a lot of the patterns and stereotypes that are built in, that are most of the time unconscious, actually start when we were little. I'm reading this book now because of parenting, and it talks about, you know, and I'm going to have a girl, by the way. So it's a really big challenge for me, right? No pressure, Anna. But it really, by the time we're 3, our core identity and the foundation of our identity is formed. And then by the time we're 7, we're soaking in certain patterns and beliefs about the world, about the relationships, about who is mom, who is dad, what is the relationship between mom and dad, what is the relationship between dad and you or I, what is the relationship with mom and I, what is the relationship with you and your siblings. And then we talk about the family units, and we talk about culture, of course. And then you put on top of that everything that's happening today, you know, in the media and pressures and everything. So as little girls, we go through the world, and in the first 7 years, unconsciously, we soak these patterns in. And what happens is that they are so deep down inside of us that they regulate and they control and they dictate how we live our life as grown-up women. And for me, I've realized many different things, and the women I'm working with, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy, you know? I thought that this is how things were supposed to be. I thought that men are this way, but that is not true. The world is what we perceive it to be. We create our own realities. If you think that men are a bunch of assholes, that I thought, or men are weak, or I can't trust men because there's toxic masculinity, these are the men that you will see. But as soon as you reshift and recondition your beliefs, you can recondition everything in your life, and that's the power that you have as a human. Well, as a human, not only as a woman, but as a woman especially, because you have true power inside of you. This is where everything begins. So I want to share next a story, a client story from Janine, who's a digital artist from USA. She went through my course and worked with me. Here's what she says. I had a very insightful moment on how patterns tend to repeat themselves down the family line, and how softening, embracing femininity and gentleness can help release the bind of these patterns. So if you find yourself, perhaps, I don't know if you've ever done or asked these questions like, how are you like your mother? How are you like your father? What love means for you? A lot of women find themselves in patterns of relationships, and this is where the transformation actually begins. If you keep, if you look at all of your past relationships, or let's say the last 4 or 5 significant relationships that you had, and I did this exercise with myself, you look at how they started, how they progressed, how they ended, you're going to see a pattern. That pattern is telling you something. Life doesn't happen just randomly. Do you know what I mean? You attract the people who are a mirror of you. And so the issues that you are having with men or with relationships or whatever that repeat themselves, this is the key. And it's so interesting how life plays itself, where it gives you clues constantly. But if you're not willing to see the clues, nothing's going to change. And so that's why the first step is the inner girl work. Let's move on to the next step, creativity. This is the essential forgotten element to any woman's successful life, and I can't stress this enough. Another book I highly recommend is by Julia, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Creativity has transformed my life completely, and Let's talk about what creativity is. A lot of you, I know, have a lot of like masculine energy, and we're all ambitious and driven women, and we want to achieve things, want to be independent, all of that stuff. And creativity for a lot of us is just a waste of freaking time, right? Or it's something that we do rarely, or okay, I'm going to go and do this thing once because it's not productive, just like pleasure. Right? Creativity is not something that's rewarded. A lot of creative pursuits and creative professions are viewed as you're never going to make money out of it. What are you doing? You better go and get a business career or finance career or open up a business, whatever. Women are not encouraged to pursue feminine activities because they're seen as not constructive, not productive. And productivity is the unit, the measure unit, of success. Creativity, the use of imagination or original ideas to create something. Creativity is so essential to a woman's life. To men as well, but especially to a woman's life, I can't tell you how important and powerful it is for us to work with our hands. How our soul enriches itself, creates new neural pathways, makes space for things, makes space for thoughts. We get out of our head and we create things. Just like our wombs and our bodies create life, we create things with our hands and with our imagination. And when I stepped onto this journey, I was never creative. Nobody ever pursued, encouraged me or whatever. And I started creating things, and it was just the most transformational experience ever for me. I want to share a quote from Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote the Women Who Run with Wolves book that I told you about, and she has chapters and chapters about this. Here's what she says. Within every woman there is a wild and natural creature, a powerful force, filled with good instincts, passionate creativity, and ageless knowing. This is kind of summarize, pretty much what it is to be a woman, Are you connected to your instincts? Yeah? Are you making decisions from that place and not from your head? Because the head doesn't always know, and most of the time the body knows first and your instincts know first. Passionate creativity. Creativity is everything. And the women I work with, we make it a daily practice. If you can't make it a daily practice, then you do it a couple of times a week, and there's many beautiful ways and many discoveries for you to, oh my God, it's the possibilities and the opportunities to be creative and to actually look at it as being productive are enormous. And that's going to change a lot in your life if you really pursue this path. I want to share with you another story from Anastasia. She's a product manager in Stockholm who worked with me. She says, my aha moment was in discovering creativity for myself. It was when I picked up the paintbrush for the first time in many years and felt the flow of creativity and feminine energy running through me. This is just one of the many, many stories, and I can't stress this enough. And women who know this journey and know this path, talk to any woman who leads a creative life. This is everything, and it doesn't end. It never ends. This is an activity. It's life, pretty much. Just like we create life. Creativity is where we create our ideas, we let go of things, we process things. There's like art therapy. Art therapy is such a real thing, and so many women are disconnected from it. We never have time for it, right? Because why? So I highly encourage you to keep that in mind. Hope you're taking notes. All right, next up, we are going into my favorite subject, the subject of relationships. And here is where we talk about men. And a lot of the women I work with, this is one of the most transformational things, but it doesn't have to be, as I said, success for a woman is not her relationship and not her man, but it is a big part of it. So let's talk about polarity. Polarity is a concept I learned from David Deida, which completely transformed my life and my relationships. So what is polarity? Yeah. So when we think about polarity, this is a pole. So think about planet Earth. There is a North Pole, there is a South Pole. Masculinity, femininity, yin and yang is just two opposite poles of one spectrum. Yeah. And I have a cute picture here. It says she was an angel craving chaos. He was a demon seeking peace. And so when I understood the concept of polarity, when I applied it into my own life, the transformation that happened not only in my relationships, but I started seeing this in the relationships around me. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. So let me explain this. So you see, this is the scale of sexual polarity. And how it works is that the philosophy or the logic or the rationale behind it is the more feminine a woman is, and my work primarily is based on heterosexual relationships, and so this is what I'm going to talk about it today. The idea is that the more feminine woman, the more the feminine a woman is, the more the masculine she will attract her partner. And so the closer, so an example of this would be, you've probably seen all these women, and this was like so transformational for me, You've probably seen all these women who are like so girly, yeah. And I used to look at this as naive, as weakness, as like, get your shit together, woman. Make something out of yourself and get independent and all of this. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of women out there who are very superficial, who are after money, who don't want to work. But I'm not talking about those women. Well, in this case, this might be a woman like that, but not necessarily. Yeah. So a woman like that, you will always see her with a guy who's like super muscly and like super in his like manhood. Well, depends how you define manhood. But so you explain. So if you look at couples, actually, and it's really interesting what's happening. And I started seeing this in couple, and I was like, oh my God. So you usually see in the relationship, and the whole idea of polarity and masculine essence and feminine essence, I'll get to it in a second, is that most men identify themselves with a masculine essence. Most women identify themselves with a feminine essence. I'll explain it in a second. But you see these couples, and it not sometimes women identify themselves with a masculine essence, and then she will attract a man who will be in his feminine essence more. So sometimes you see these couples where a woman is a feminine woman. You can feel it in her energy, and I'll explain it to you in a second. And then she's with a masculine man. Sometimes it's reverse, but the dynamic of polarity always works. And so, for example, let's say you are somewhere here, yeah? So the man that you're going to attract in your life is somewhere here, yeah? If you come to being neutral, so I don't agree and I don't stand behind the idea of a 50-50. We're all 50 masculine, 50 feminine, and we're going to balance. The point is to seek balance. I don't believe in that, especially in relationships, because then we are going to attract the same neutral partner, and then we have a neutral, depolarized relationships. In a depolarized relationships, you don't have sexual attraction. And you know this, and I've been in a relationship where so what's happening with a lot of women today, actually, we are here. Yeah, we're past the feminine, we're past the neutral, we are here, my ladies, my friends. And so what's happening is that we attract men that are here. And I was in a relationship like this, I made all the decisions, I made more money, I told him what to do. I basically ruled and controlled my life. And so many women are craving for control and can't freaking let go because they're scared. Do you know what I mean? They're scared to trust themselves. They're scared to trust their men. They're scared to trust the world. And then this is how they live. And it's freaking exhausting. And it comes down to when she's 40, 45, she has children and everything. She's like, what the hell is this? I ended up with a man who I don't consider a man. Women here, they disrespect their men. They don't let them step up. They don't let them do things. They constantly control them. And I see this in relationships, right? But I can't go to a woman and say, hey, you're doing everything wrong. So if you are looking at this training, this is the most transformational concept perhaps that you might hear, is that if you don't want to do all of this, that's why I share with you the concept of the horse. I woke up one day and I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. This is hard. I'm not a man, I'm not, I can't. My husband, he wakes up every day at 5 a.m., he goes to work, then he hits the gym. He just completely destroys himself in the gym. He comes home at 7 or 8, maybe watch something, read something. He's dead. He's done. He's in bed. That's it. I can't live like this. Do you know what I mean? I can't live. I'm not a freaking train. So I'll explain masculinity and femininity in a second. But an important concept to understand, if you find yourself here and attracting all these men that have a lot of feminine energy, honestly, it is unpleasant. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you want a man who is a masculine man, who can take you by the hand and who can lead you into a relationship, who can throw you down the wall or on the table, make love to you, take you. This is the whole point. Then you got to start working on your femininity. You got to come from here into here. I'm not telling you to be here, yeah? But you got to change this and you got to go through this journey. And this is why you're on the training today, and I'm going to show you how. And if you want to work further, we can. But this is how you're going to attract a masculine man. This is what I did. All right, I'm getting really passionate about this. But to explain further the polarity, yeah? You have, when you are here and here, you might be a masculine essence woman. And I thought I was one. But when I went on the femininity journey and discovering my own womanhood and femininity, I realized that's not me. That's not me. Things are too hard. You know, I don't want to push. I don't want to struggle all the freaking time. I want to work with my cycle. I don't want to go to work when I'm bleeding because I'm not in my element. And this is why this work is so important. And so when you have the polarity again, you know, there's two poles to one side. You have a ravisher and a ravishee, something I told you about. You want him to take you. You want him to throw you against the wall. You want him to bend you over and take you. And there's nothing wrong with that, because this is the essential want of a feminine essence. And guess what? He wants to take you. He wants to ravish you. He wants to take control. And I'm not saying control is in like patriarchy, whatever. Let's not get there. I'm talking now specifically about relationships. You can apply it into other areas of life. The taker and the one being taken, this is polarity. If you have a depolarized relationship, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. You have to have a conqueror and a surrender. I'm not saying that as a woman you have to be in the passive side all the time. Like, let's say being the ravishee, the one being taken, the surrender. But for me, there's nothing sexier than a man taking you by the hand, looking into your eyes and saying, let's go. I know where to go. You can trust me. I will protect you. Surrender to me. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps because it's true. Do you know what I mean? And guess what? The men want this. But if you don't let them, they won't do it. Yeah, I'm talking about healthy relationship. They can't do it because they don't want to take you by force. You got to surrender. So another client story I want to share is from Monica, who's a teacher from Sacramento, USA, who went through this program. And she says, I think the biggest aha moments were how easy it is to really get what I want by doing less. I was the masculine in my relationships, and through the program, I've shredded that identity little by little. It feels great. My sex life is even better. So in sex and in relationships, this is key. This is key, and you'll see transformations in your man and in your relationship. And trust me, he doesn't even need to you don't need to do anything. I mean, he doesn't need to do anything. All you need to do, the more you start working on your femininity and leaning back, so not leaning in, girlfriend. I know that Sheryl Sandberg is going to watch this and be like, what the hell are you talking about? But the key to a healthy relationship is not leaning in. It's leaning back and let him lean in. The more you do this work on yourself, the more you see that your man will step up and take charge. And there's nothing more satisfying for a woman to be with a feminine essence woman, to be with a man who takes charge, where you can trust him. All right, let's move on to these concepts of femininity and masculinity. Ask yourself, what is femininity for you? I ask this question on my podcast every single time. Women give me different definitions depending where they come from, what their culture is, what their background is, how they grew up as a little girl. Ask yourself, what is it for you? When do you feel most feminine? A lot of women have an idea of the femininity, that it is weakness, that it is makeup and dresses and I don't know what. That's all part of that. That's all part of that, ladies. But it's not the core. Yeah? So this is the confusion. It's not the core. You can put as much lipstick as you want. You can wear dresses and everything. But in your core, if you don't feel feminine and a woman, and you don't claim your womanhood. You know, there's these women who walk into the room, and no matter what they wear, everybody turns around. Then you see all the men just buzzing around her. She's the queen bee. She doesn't have to say anything. She doesn't have to run a board meeting or a company. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't have to make a lot of money. It doesn't matter how much money she makes. It doesn't matter if she owns a business. All of these masculine traits or superficial things, they don't matter. Because when you are with a woman like this, she's magnetic. For men, there's nothing more attractive than a woman who knows her femininity. The power of femininity or womanhood is through the roof. And women who understand this and use it, and I'm not saying abuse it, use it to their advantage, not only know the secret to men, but know the secret to life. And hopefully with this training, you can get closer to that. I don't have all the answers. I'm not the expert. But I opened the door and I walked through the door. I'm still walking there. So I'm inviting you to walk it with me. What do you do on a daily basis to connect to your femininity? Think about it. Are you just waking up, going to work, doing your business without thinking about these things? Do you know what I mean? And for me personally, the quest to womanhood for every woman is the main quest in life. Because we build businesses, we can do anything. Do you know what I mean? We have the power. But is that what you really want? A lot of women get to the peak of their careers, and I've been there. A lot of women open up businesses, make a ton of money, and then they're like, now what? I've proved it. I've done it. Now what? And then they start thinking about this thing. So make a choice earlier than that. You know, a lot of women, I love talking to older women because they get this. They realize it. But to a lot of us, it comes later in time, and that's fine. But you can extend this part of your life, and you can live in surrender and radiance and joy, where you don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore because the power comes from within. All right. So what is femininity? Yeah. So I'm going to give you a definition that I came to myself through my own experience, through my own research, asking women and everything. Again, this is polarity, and you'll see when I explain to you what is masculinity, you'll see that this is the complete opposite. So, first of all, femininity is power. Don't let anyone ever tell you again that being feminine is being weak. I've been there and I looked at feminine women as being weak. Yeah? Get your shit together. Go and get a job. Go forward. What is this? You know? Femininity is flow. It flows everywhere, in and out, in and out. Femininity is fullness. I'll give you an example. When you have a shelf, it's an empty shelf. And if you are a feminine essence woman, you are with a masculine essence man, what do you do with an empty shelf? What do you do when you move into a house? You start filling in the shelf. You put like little decorations and, photo frames and things like that. You put little candles in there. You light up you want color. You want radiance. You want life. You want fullness. He doesn't want that. He wants emptiness. He wants the shelf to be empty. There should be one item there. That's it. If you find yourself, if you are in a relationship, or of course, if you've been in relationships, you will notice this about men. This is what femininity, masculinity is. It's the spectrum. It's the... oh my God, I don't want to call it a spectrum, because for me, the gender spectrum is like... Anyways, let's not get there. Femininity is radiance. Femininity is life. We create life. I'm now with a child, and it's like the most bizarre experience I've ever had of my life. There's a human being growing inside of me. There's a heart beating. How can we disregard this? How can we disregard that every single month our bodies go through cycles? How can we disregard that we can actually combine with the moon? We can, we can combine with the moon cycles. We can sync with the moon cycles and our own cycle. How can we know our body as a woman? How can we know our vagina? There's power in that space, and we're completely disconnected. Femininity is chaos and wilderness. Femininity is something that you can't control. There's chaos in there. There's wilderness. There is an image of Kali, the goddess, that just slays everything down. Masculinity is, I wouldn't say scared of the feminine, but a masculine man knows that his woman will challenge him every day. And he's not scared of it, but he's ready to take the challenge. Womanhood and femininity is a powerful force. It can create and destroy things. Our bodies are going through a destructive force every month when we bleed. It is creation, it is destruction. It's a super powerful force. Femininity is like the ocean. it is like the wave. It goes up and down, and it explains our emotional storms as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is the embracement of nature. Femininity is nature. It is like nature, always changing, always growing, always expanding. It is the chaos, it is life, it is fullness. And femininity creates space. So let's talk about who is a strong and empowered woman today. It is not the woman that you see being portrayed. The woman who is showing the middle finger, the woman who is showing her power, the woman at the board meeting, the woman who wears pants all the time, the woman who is fierce, the woman who is just like a man. That is not a strong and empowered woman. Men are not attracted to a woman like that. If we're talking about masculine men. Namaste Moore, a woman who's coming on my podcast, she says the masculine doesn't want to protect masculine women. He wants to protect feminine women. It doesn't mean that you're not strong and empowered. It doesn't mean you don't have that energy. All of us have both energies. I have a lot of masculine energy. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't be speaking with you today. Look at me. I'm like a train now. But there's times for that. And then there's times of being in my feminine. I am predominantly in my feminine, or I try to be. So a strong and empowered woman is a woman who is happy and fulfilled. A woman who radiates energy. A woman who smiles and laughs. A woman who knows her power, her pleasure, her creativity. She has embraced the inner girl. She doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, with no slogans, with no marching. She is strong inside. There is power in her. She doesn't need to test her man always, all the time, challenge, nag. There's no need for that. You know what my husband says? Happy wife, happy life. Indeed. It's so funny how in relationships and in family, if a woman is pissed, that's it. Everyone is pissed. Everyone is not in the mood. And you know this. And men, what they do, they try to make us happy all the time. And sometimes they give up and they just do whatever we tell them. And that is not a healthy relationship. I see it all the time. I see men being subdued, being controlled by women because they have given up. Because they don't have enough power to stand up and say, you are my woman and I'm going to take charge. And here's how we're going to do things. A woman says the same thing, but in different areas of life. It is all a balance. It is not a 50-50. We bring in different gifts and different qualities. So if you're not happy and fulfilled, nothing's going to work. I'm reading childhood and parenting books now. It's the same thing with the babies. If the mom is not happy and fulfilled, the baby's going to cry. The baby's going to feel it. The baby's going to think that it's his own fault. And we can't do that. Do you know what I mean? We have amazing power and grace, and we have the power to change the world, especially the Western women. But it has to be done from a place of love. It has to be done from a place of love and not a place of hatred and revenge, which is what's happening today, and it breaks my heart. But I know you're here today, and if you're listening to this, you resonate with this. And so this is the journey. Another client story comes from Ksenia. She's an entrepreneur in Provincetown, USA. She says, I saw femininity in a different light. The idea has shifted from stereotypical cooking, cleaning, and serving to playful, creative, and caring. I don't see the world as degrading and negative anymore. Man, cockroaches in my head. Don't we all have cockroaches? Another story from Miriam. She's an affiliate manager in San Francisco. She says, I was emotionally tired of trying to wear the pants at work and be strong, tough in all aspects of life. Plus, living in Silicon Valley, all my role models were men at the top of the ladder, which I tried to emulate. I had completely lost touch with my femininity until this program came to my life. I really didn't know how to reconnect again with my femininity. Anna taught us about energy, our limiting beliefs, and women's cycles. It all helped me tune back with my feminine selves. I even got to organize a sexy boudoir photo shoot for myself, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. So, my lady, if you find yourself in this story, stay tuned. All right, quickly, let's talk about the masculine. So the masculine is the opposite of the feminine. Remember the polarity. The masculine is the direction. He knows where to go. He has a goal and he goes for it. That's it. He's like a train. There's a goal. I'm going for it. That's it. Let's talk about the sexual organs, yeah? There is the penis. The penis is direction. He wants to penetrate. He's the ravisher. We don't have a penis. We have a vagina. We accept things. We surrender to things. We let things enter. We have the gates. He has the penetrative direction. And the masculine And when I talk about the masculine, I talk about the energy, yeah? So I'm not talking about men specifically, because we have this energy. I have this energy in me. I know exactly what it is. And if you're here, I assume that you have a lot of masculine energy, you understand. If the woman is like the ocean, not the woman, the feminine essence is like the ocean, the masculine essence is like the mountain. He stands tall and nothing can weather him. He just stands there. That's it. He holds space. He holds presence for you. The feminine will challenge him in many, many different ways, but he will stay, and he will stay strong, and he will be present. He won't run away. We disrespect the masculine the feminine disrespects the masculine who runs away. The masculine challenges to step up and stay. That's it. He just stays. The masculine identifies achievement. Achievement is everything for him. He goes through challenges. A challenge, an obstacle is what he is born to go through. He's the muscle. He builds muscle. They're bigger than us. The masculine, the men. They're bigger than us. They can do much more. They can lift things, yeah? That's the thing. He holds space, emptiness. There's the concept of little death. When men ejaculate, there's this, that's it. That's why they watch sports. That's why they fight. There's this energy of, that's it, we want to win. Winning is his main objective in life. That's it. Another important thing is that for women, relationships are key connection. Not for women, well, I say women, yeah, because majority of women would identify with the feminine essence. Relationships are key. I don't care about anything else. That's why women open businesses that are not money oriented. They are pleasure oriented. I want a purpose. I want fulfillment. Men care about fulfillment, of course. But for him, if he has to take care of a family and a baby, he wakes up and he goes. He goes and works in the mines. He goes and works in the oil industry. He does everything. If he's a masculine man and he has responsibility and it's a healthy relationships, he will do everything to support you and to take care of you, especially when you're with a baby. When I got pregnant and I'm reading all these pregnant posts, that's it. You can throw your equality and 50-50 out of the window because you can't work. Well, depending on your case, right? But I couldn't. First trimester, that's it. I was laying down. Second trimester, I'm in now. That's why I have the power. But that's it, Once the baby gets out, I can't work. I have to rely on my men. And so this is the beauty of the union. This is the beauty of holding this strength. There's nothing more powerful for a man. There's no more satisfaction than bringing being the protector and the provider, really. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong if you want the man to be the protector and the provider. You don't have to work that hard to be independent, because independence is your worth is not your net worth. Independent doesn't come from much money you make, because if you know that you can make any money and you can survive as a woman, especially today with all these opportunities, then that's just a given. I want to be independent. What does that mean? You can be internally independent in your own self, but you can be in a union with a man where polarity exists, where you understand his needs, he understands your needs. Yeah, but men come to this a bit later. Women are more, the feminine essence is more interested in personal growth and stuff like that a lot more times, yeah? Nothingness. He wants nothingness. That's why he comes home and watches TV and completely disconnects while we want to talk. It's incredible. These differences are amazing. So I want to finish this subject with loss of masculinity and what's happening today. And I've done this through my own research for talking with men again. It's an incredible thing to understand and to know what is happening with men today. A lot of the men today, the adult men, did not have male role models. They do not have the rites of passage. Do you know the movie 300? This is what was happening with boys. Their fathers today, or today probably more, but before, fathers don't spend time with their sons. They don't teach them. Well, a lot of fathers just don't know and are themselves lost in their masculinity. An amazing podcast I was listening to is The Art of Masculinity. Great subjects. They teach men about this. Men need to be taught just like women need to be taught, yeah? They didn't have proper male role models. They didn't have a father who had a healthy relationship with a mother, who they didn't have go through rites of passages. What is it and how is it to go from boy to man? What does that mean? No healthy family dynamics. Again, a lot of family dynamics are just not healthy, and there's no one to blame for it, but you're here today, hopefully, to change that. Men, or masculine, views women as an instrument of self-worth. There's positive, negative sides to it, but if you look at it from this perspective, a lot of everything of what men do in their life, the money that they make, is to take women out on drinks, on dates, to take care of her, to provide. Success for a man is how successful a man is by what he has. Like he values material things, because for him, they show the world who he is. I'm not saying this is good or bad. This is just what it is. For him, freedom is the highest value. My husband once told me, we were in a relationship we're still in a relationship. In the beginning, he says, I feel free with you. If a man tells you he's free with you in a relationship, this is a great sign of a healthy relationship, because he knows that he can always come back to you, and he will, because you respect him. You don't try to keep him be beside you all the time. You don't have to control him. The masculine hates being controlled. He wants to be the protector and the provider. He's on a mission. And I told you before, for women, connection relationships are the key. For him, it's the mission. The mission for him is the most important thing. If there's a woman by his side, David Data, it all comes from there. If there's a woman by his side, a woman can take the man to the next level, absolutely to the next level. He can do it by himself, but a woman by his side who leverages her power is everything. There's nothing more satisfying for a man, and there's nothing more proud for him to be with a woman by his side who looks amazing, who knows her power, and who's not masculine. That is the relationship I'm talking about, where there is polarity, and you can see it in couples. And if you work on the polarity in your relationship will have attraction for many, many years. His body is made to survive and fight and endure hardships and pain. They are made to go through challenges, and this is how they grow. They fall down, they go back up. They build their characters like this. We're not like this. I'm talking about energetic terms, yeah? Not about individual terms. Of course, we are free as women. So all of these things would apply to us, right? We also can be on a mission. We're also free. But I'm talking about the polarity, the two extremes of the feminine and the masculine. So I prove a point. Let me share another client story with you. This comes from Jennifer, who's a wellness coach in Connecticut. She says, I knew what masculinity meant, but never had it described the way Anna did. It resonated with me in a deeper way and opened me up to seeing my relationships with my son and husband differently. I can allow my husband to express his masculinity from a place of appreciation rather than competition. Women who know and appreciate masculinity and respect it in their men understand its power, and it's amazing what happens. It's amazing what happens when you don't try to control a man and let him be. All right, let's go to the last point, because we're talking about it a lot today, embodiment. Embodiment is something that I've stumbled upon recently, and I'm actually a feminine embodiment coach currently, and this has been transformational for me. Let's talk about the frozen tension in the body. A lot of us like do yoga or different sports and everything, but we don't know what it means to have a connection with our body, to really feel into it, and to make decisions from the body and to somatically embody what is going on. Our body stores a lot of tension. I don't know if you follow Louise Hay or any of the personal growth things. There is a theory that's now being proven many, many times, is that the body stores negative frozen tension and energy that manifests itself in the diseases. Every single disease has a reason. And what we do, because we don't know how to liberate this frozen energy, and one of the biggest transformations for me is I always try to feel good. Feeling good was the key, and feeling bad was something that we run away from, we don't want to deal with. We don't know how to deal with negative emotions. We don't know how to embrace it. We don't understand that this is all part of the journey. And we feel numb because we don't want to feel it. What I did in the past was, going, getting high, getting drunk, having a lot of sex, getting on my motorbike, because it's uncomfortable. We don't want to feel it. And since we were little girls, we live in a culture that doesn't appreciate feeling negative, so to say. And so what happens is that there is so much frozen tension that our body stores, so much, especially shame and guilt and a lot of negative emotion that don't get liberated. We're stuck in our head. We have these avoidance strategies. We intellectualize, rationalize, overthink everything. This is where decision, or was it paralysis, comes in, because a lot of the times the body knows. You feel it in your gut. Women who know how to listen to their intuition, to their body, live a more fulfilled life. We are sensually asleep, and our hearts can't crack open. Let's not even talk about the woman, the vagina. I think I've made a point. And so the good news is that learning the skill of embodiment can take you to the next level as a woman. When you connect it to your body, when you feel into it, you make the decisions from your body, not so much from your head. Everything transformed. So what is the skill? We need to be more in our bodies. There's a bunch of different tactics for it and things you can do. Discovering pleasure is another thing. As I mentioned before, pleasure is seen unproductive. We don't even know what's pleasure. We think that it's, oh my God, it's coming. It's sex. It's not really about that. We need to learn how to liberate tension. We need to learn how to uncover limiting beliefs that are in the body and how they feel in the body. And we need to liberate frozen tension, because negative energy is stored in our body, but it wants to be released. It's all flow. We need to create embodied goals that feel good in our bodies, not only in our heads. We need to establish healthy boundaries with other people in the world, but in our bodies as well, not only in our heads. And then we become sensual and magnetic. We start attracting things. And these women who are like, oh my God, everything is happening for me. You're like, what the hell are you doing? So this is a skill that I'm trying to teach and coach. And I can tell you about it in a second. So, ladies, this is the end of the theoretical part of all of this. Yeah. So I hope that everything I've shared with you today has expanded your perspective, has changed your view on certain things, and I hope you will be applying it in your own life. And what you can do is you can actually, watch this training over and over again, read the books that I recommended, go through trainings on all of this. But if you're wondering, how can you go deeper? So if you're asking yourself, Anna, this is great, yeah, but how can I go deeper, feel lighter, and implement this into my life, and finally step into the place that you're talking about? So one way is to do it all by yourself, right? And read the books. And I've done it, it took me freaking, I don't even know, like 5 years or something to get to where I am today. And you can do this 100%. But the fastest and the most profound way that you can do it is actually work with someone. So I invite you to actually work with me. And the good news is that I'm looking for my next dream clients, and I have a couple of spots left because, of the pregnancy and everything. But all of these girls have gone through the training with me, and everything I told you about today, we're going to expand more and go into embodiment, polarity, everything. So if you want your name here among my dream clients, listen up. If this is exciting and you resonate, listen up. So this would be perfect for us to work together, for you to work with me. If you want to rediscover, embrace your femininity and who you really are, have ritual relationships with other people. You want to craft your life and live according to your own version of success and who you are. You finally want to feel free, lighter, and open. Rediscover your worth and faith in your own voice and your decisions. You want to let go of overworking, perfectionism, and control. Embrace or expand your full range of emotions. Let your body lead. And as we mentioned before, stop overthinking and trusting you got more and more, and listening to the deep voice inside. Discover your wild nature. Develop sensitivity, receptivity, and start feeling more, not being afraid of who you are and being too much. Then this is for you. So who is this for? So I usually work with women that are in some sort of a transition, looking for a different way, who want to connect to their femininity, who perhaps have this, if you have this perfect life on the outside and have achieved all of the success that, society told us, or the masculine idea of success, but you still feel deep down inside that you're missing something, this is for you. Women who want to contribute to the world and people around them in a deeper, more powerful way, this is for you, in a feminine way. Women who want to be more present and authentic in their relationship, this is also for you. If you know that there's more to life and are ready to step up and invest in your own development, this is for you. If perhaps you're switching careers and again are in this transition phase, and if you want your next thing or whatever you want to do next, you're not sure about it, maybe you are, But for this next things to feel realigned with who you are and your version of success, this is for you. And last but not least, if you have gone through the traditional path that we talked about, and you realize this is not working, then this is for you. So last, who is this not for? If you're looking for a quick fix to your issues or whatever, this is not for you. If you're not ready to show up and do the work, because this is work, I'm not saying it's actually a transformational journey. It's a very pleasant journey to be discovering what is holding you back, to be understanding your own nature and being like, oh my God, I had all these limiting beliefs. Wow, wow, wow. There's more, there's more, there's more. If you're ready to go there, you have to be willing to go there. If you're not, this is not for you. If you're ready to take full responsibility for your thoughts, action in your own life, this is for you. If you're not, it's not. And last, if you're not ready to invest in yourself financially and time-wise, this is also not for you. So let's finish up. Well, where do we go from here and how does it all work? Step 1 is to book a free strategy call with me so we can look at if we're a good fit for each other. You know, I don't want to... I only want to work with women who are a great fit. I'm not here to coach women or work with women who you know, just for the money or whatever. I'm not interested in that. I want for me to spend my time with you and for you to spend your time with me, knowing that it is a great fit and we're having a great time. We're achieving results and transformation for you. So in order to make sure that this is a great fit, we need to get on a call. And this is a free strategy call. We're going to have a great time. I'm going to walk you through your current situation, desired situation. You're going to ask me all the questions you want. And we're going to make sure that this is a great fit. This is going to be a great call for you if you want clarity in your life and your current situation. You can ask me all the questions. Below this video, you're going to have a button where you can apply. So you need to book your free strategy call. Or you can go to girlskill.com/apply. Know that limited spots are available. I can't work with everyone. This is my time one-on-one, right? So make sure you do this quickly. And right after you watch this video, if this resonates, don't wait, because I'm pregnant and, you know, who knows what I'm going to do next year. Girlskill.com. So first step is to book your strategy call, find the time in my calendar. We're going to get on a call. After you book it, you're going to have a quick application form just to make sure that, you know, this is the right fit and we're in tune with what's happening. And step 3 is we get on a call and we see what happens next. And I hope to see you on the call. I hope you take this challenge. If you are here, then it means there is a reason, right? If you're still here and listening to this, you need to step up and you need to invest in yourself and you need to get on a call with me, because this is it. This is your next journey. And I hope that you will take this challenge and you are going to step onto your hero's journey, because this journey, this quest into your femininity and your own version of success is might be the main quest of your life. So I hope you enjoyed this training. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I hope to see you on the call.